Touched at his weakest point, Pilate felt confused by the references, as his conscience accused him of unworthy things and an extreme attachment to wealth. Thus, he imagined that the beauty of those principles was just another of the much-vaunted philosophies that Greece produced daily. He ended up thinking practically, like the Romans of all times, telling himself that, although beautiful, it wasn't for him. We are all like this when changes arise before us. We allow our reasoning to be disturbed by the convenience of our desires and vices so that we don't have to give up our vanities and whims. And even recognizing the superiority of the evangelical teachings, many people try to avoid listening to them so as not to have to act in accordance with their principles. Therefore, Pilate had been captivated by the philosophical depth of the concepts, but he would never accept dressing simply like Zechariah and accepting the easy yoke and the light burden. He was accustomed to the heavy burden of a man of the world and the suffocating yoke of the shackles that bound him to earthly things, to illusory power, to volatile and dangerous riches, to the seductions of the flesh. At that moment, Pilate felt diminished before those humble men, for he admired their great faith, which he did not understand. However, his reasoning as an important Roman governor led him to return to the tradition of his ancestors and tell himself that this was his belief, the one he had learned from his parents, and that it was not his place to allow himself to be seduced by foreign principles. After all, he was Roman, not Jewish. This reasoning is very common among many human beings who, faced with lofty principles that demand modification of behavior and thoughts, prefer to cling to old, conformist, lukewarm beliefs that allow them to remain the same, as long as they submit to the demands of ritual or financial contribution. Essentially, it's a reciprocal fraud, where both parties deceive each other so they can always remain the same, claiming they want to be different. Churches covet money and power, preaching detachment and humility. Believers desire absolution to enter heaven, living extremely worldly lives and being tied to the earth. Therefore, they give away part of their wealth and attend services so that, even if they don't behave according to what they hear, they receive absolution and believe they are guaranteed heaven. It was no different for Pilate at that moment. This would also weigh on his conscience. However, the seed was sown in his heart.